Welcome back to Whiskey Bonded. I'm Conrad. Tonight, we're drinking Jameson and talking about the 7 Irish whiskeys that I have, I love, and I think you should go out and buy. If you've been watching or paying attention to me at all on YouTube or on Instagram, you know that I'm a big fan of Irish whiskey. I started with Irish whiskey and I continued to have a real love for it. And I gotta say, there's a bottle in this list that's probably my personal favorite whiskey above everything else, bourbons and scotches included. 7 Irish whiskeys that I think you should buy or hunt for, have on your shelf, definitely try at some point, because if you don't, you're missing out. So let's get started. First, Jameson. Of course, Jameson. I don't know how you can have an Irish whiskey list without Jameson. I'm drinking Jameson right now. Rocks. If you paid any attention to the videos I've done, you'd know that I always drink Jameson on ice. I drink Jameson on ice primarily because it kind of softens the pepper note in it. Jameson is a staple Irish whiskey. It's aged for at least 4 years. It's triple distilled. It's 80 proof. And it's just typical of what Irish whiskey is. It's soft. It's vanilla. It does have that slight pepper and orange on the finish, but the ice kind of brings the pepper note down and softens it a little bit. One of the things I like about Irish whiskey is that it is soft. It's easy to drink. It's sweet. It's just nice to drink. So Jameson. Glendalough. This is a double barrel Irish whiskey, obviously aged in bourbon barrels and sherry barrels. A lot of these are going to have that in common. You can see it's got a pretty good color to it. There's no age statement on this, but I got to imagine it's probably somewhere around the same as the Jameson. This is a single grain whiskey. So like a Jameson is barley and single grain. This is a single grain. I put this in here because the Jameson, obviously, we've talked about, is $20. This is about $35, so it's still pretty inexpensive, but it does give a depth of experience. It gives you some additional notes and some additional punch that you're not going to get in the Jameson. So I think it makes a great a second step, kind of foray. It's a little more expensive, but not super crazy. Gives you a chance to experience something else. There's more fruit to this, more oak. You start to get a little of the sherry, a little bit of the spice. It is a slightly higher proof at 86, so it just kind of steps up a tiny bit from the Jameson. I really like that one. Around here, it's really easy to find. I understand that it's getting easier to find. I actually was lucky enough to meet the owner of this at my local liquor store one time. Very cool, a very good Irish whiskey. So where do we go from there? I think you cannot talk about Irish whiskey without talking about Redbreast 12. You'll notice a consistency in here. Almost all of these products are out of Middleton. I personally think that Middleton makes the best Irish whiskey. They've got a great variety of Irish whiskeys. They've all got a consistency of experience that I really love. The Redbreast 12 was for a long time my very favorite Irish whiskey. It's a 12-year aged. It's got that same fruit and spice and vanilla and all of those things that you want out of an Irish whiskey, but this one, because of the age, is really soft. It's really nice. It's very subtle. It's complex in its subtlety. You've just got to get it and try it. It's barley and single grain, like the Jameson, but the longer aging gives you more oak. I mean, this is $54 right where I'm at, so it's a little more expensive, but man, it is worth every cent. If you have not tried this, you gotta get it. You gotta try it. Redbreast 12 is just fantastic. So the next one that I have is Green Spot. So now we're starting to get into ones that are just are gonna probably be a little bit harder to find for some of you. This is, I'm gonna pull it out of the back here, box. Tube. So Green Spot is also from Middleton. It is not age stated. It's a beautiful bottle. I mean, there's a little paint spot on the top. It's got a nice color to it. It's just beautiful in the labeling. I put this one in because when I drink this, I get something that I don't get in any of these other ones, and that is green apple. I get a ton of green apple from this. I mean, this is 80 proof. It's about $45. It has all the same notes, the vanilla and the spices and that kind of oaky, caramely fruity, just the beautiful note that you get in Irish whiskey. But this one for me just hit me with green apple, and I thought it was really super interesting. I break this out for people once in a while, let them try it, and everybody really, really pauses and goes, "Wow, that's something different." This one you should be able to find. I've heard from people around the country that this is attainable. The next one may not be. So moving on from this, the next one that I do, I'm going to start getting into the primary difference in the next couple of ones that I'm going to give you are proof. So I discovered that the one thing about Irish whiskey that I wanted to change, that I wanted to improve, is it doesn't hit you with that high proof. It doesn't hit you with that boldness of flavor like you get in a bourbon or a smoky scotch. Where it really is just undeniable. It just punches you. Irish was always one of those things which you had to it was subtle, and you had to kind of stop and you had to kind of think about it. And personally, if I drank bourbon and then went to Irish, it felt like there was nothing there. The flavors were so much more subtle and soft that you just almost couldn't pick up on them. So I discovered a cask strength, higher proof Irish whiskeys. That's when things got really, really interesting. And this is kind of where I'm living right now. So the first one I want to give you is Blue Spot. Blue Spot obviously is one in the line with the Green Spot. Now, I didn't put the Yellow Spot or the Red Spot in because, one, Red Spot is extremely difficult to find. It's the 15-year variation. Most of you are not going to be able to find it. This is going to be tough enough. I didn't put the Yellow Spot in because I wanted to skip straight to the cask strength. This is a 7-year cask strength. It's a little over 117 proof, so big jump up in proof. It gives you some flavors because of the extra aging of pineapple and kiwi. You still have all that vanilla and that oaky, but it's just stepped up a notch. The spices stepped up a notch, so you get that peppery, but you also kind of get like a cinnamon, and the finish starts to get really long. It really lingers on the tongue. You start to get a little bit of that oiliness, and it's more of a bold experience. I really enjoy it. If you're into bourbons and you're not sure about Irish, this is where you start to go. You start to go to cask strength. You're going to appreciate it a lot more to have that punchier, higher proof. This stuff is absolutely delicious, absolutely magical. If you can find it, it should be around $110, so it's not cheap, but worth it, in my opinion, if you can find it, because it's really, really, really beautiful stuff. I don't know if you can pick up on the darker color too there from the cask strength, and them not dropping the proof down. The next one I'm going to throw in is along the same lines as this, but it should be a little more obtainable and less expensive, and in my opinion, better. This is the Redbreast 12-year cask strength. So it's basically the 12-year put in at higher proof. It's 112 and some change proof. It is absolutely magical. It's got everything that you experience out of the Redbreast 12. After you've experienced the Redbreast 12, and I almost suggest doing them in this order. After you've experienced the Redbreast 12, you go to this, you're going to have all those same flavors, but they are turned up a notch. And because of that, you get a little more of a kind of an apricot butterscotch kind of flavor to it, and the finish gets longer. It like I said, it hangs around on your mouth. It fills up your palate a little bit better, but it's still soft. It's really quite an experience to have something that is higher proof, bolder flavor, but still has that Irish softness to it that you really want. That just it's subtle, and it doesn't pucker your face. It kind of makes you smile as you drink it, and it really is fantastic stuff. The last one that I want to give you, admittedly, this one might be kind of hard for you guys to find. I'm going to give you a specific note too on this, because there's two variations of this one, and the one that I have and the one I'm going to show you right now, in my opinion, is the one to get. You don't agree? Please put it in the comments. Hit me up on Instagram at Whiskey Bonded. Let's talk about it. I'd love to hear your opinion, but personally, I think that this is the best whiskey right now that I have in my collection. I know that's a bold statement. I've got a lot of really nice stuff, and a lot of you bourbon guys are not going to agree with this, but I actually put this in a video before in an unboxing, and since have had a little of it, and I am quite surprised with this. And if you ever get an opportunity to get it or try it, I suggest that you do, especially if you like Irish, especially if you start down this list and you get to these cask strength bottles and you like them. This stuff is magical. This is the Jameson 18-year Bow Street edition. So you'll see the Jameson 18-year around. I'm sure that is a fantastic whiskey, but the Bow Street is aged for an additional 6 months on Bow Street to give it the name. That's probably as much of a gimmick as anything else. But what's not a gimmick is that this is bottled at cask strength, so it's a little over 110 proof, and I just can't even tell you. You just have to experience this. It becomes oily in a way that a fine Scotch is. Like if you've ever had like a Macallan 18, you know that it's got that kind of, it coats your mouth. And because of that, the flavor kind of moves across your entire tongue and really fills up all of your taste buds. It's very bold. It's very round. It's very three-dimensional. It's just so good, and the finish is long and pleasant, and it just hangs with you. So you drink just a tiny bit of this, and it's just incredibly satisfying. It's an experience. I absolutely love this bottle. Now, I got a really smoking deal on this and got it for about $130, but I think it's about $140 to $160-ish if you can find it. I would pay more for this knowing what I know now. I mean, in reality, I've talked about Middleton Very Rare, and I've paid $200 for bottles of that. But I would absolutely pay $200 for a bottle of this. And I'm thinking about putting this up in a blind taste against my my Middleton Very Rare 2017 that I have. That is a brilliant bottle, just to see, because I honestly think that this is going to hold up, and it may even beat it. So if you get an opportunity to try or buy a Jameson 18, specifically the Bow Street edition, do it. That's all I can say about that. So as you're starting down your Irish journey, moving down the row, starting at the Jameson, which is where I think everybody should start, and moving through the different experiences and different flavor and profiles and different strengths, these are the 7 that I recommend, that I love, that I will always have on my shelves, that I think that you should buy if you can find them. If you think that I missed something, or that one of these doesn't belong in this list, let's hear it. Put it in the comments. But in the meantime, please like, comment, and subscribe to my videos. Come out and check me out on Instagram. I do a ton over there, and it's really cool to be able to talk back and forth with everybody over there. The communication on Instagram is super easy, and I love the whiskey community. So until next time, pick up some Irish whiskey, and I'm Conrad from Whiskey Bondit, and we'll see you back here. Sláinte. See how I did that? Sláinte is what they say instead of cheers in Ireland, so you wouldn't say cheers for Irish whiskey. You'd say Sláinte, obviously. Cheers. This is the bottle that when you pour it, it has a... Oh, pour's done. You might recognize this one from the Instagram video that I did when I did the pour. Bloop, 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 bloop. And then at the end it... Oh, a little ding. If you haven't seen that reel, you got to go see it on Instagram. It's pretty awesome. It's a fantastic sound. I love the sound of a new bottle pour. Anyway. The sound of ice and whiskey is going to make a lot of people crazy. I had one guy tell me on my video about putting ice in whiskey to make it the perfect summer drink. If you haven't seen it on Instagram, go check it out. He told me to F straight off. He's a big Viking fellow, quite intimidating, but I appreciated the humor. I get that a lot of people don't put ice in their whiskey. I mean, a lot of people even find it sacrilegious, but ice in your whiskey, though. I mean, for some things, I would never put ice in some of these whiskeys, but it's Jameson. It's $20. I mean, what are you going to do, water it down from the 80 proof? Thanks for watching.